Hello everybody and welcome back to the multiplayer project where I've had a bit of a day, as in very little time. So realistically, this is going to be live programming today. I mean, it's not super late in the day, but I'm just not feeling a super huge programming session today. I need a little bit of a break, I think. So I'm just doing a little bit of live work, and we're going to be working on diagonals today. Let's go ahead and hop into our mesh here and create ourselves some diagonal meshes first and foremost. So let's fire up Blender. And let's think about some of these that we're going to need. So with Blender fired up, let's actually also fire up the server and client and take a quick look at some of the scenarios that we're going to need to cover. So we can hop into our client now, wait for our encryption handshake. It'll happen eventually. And we will go ahead and log in. And we can see this is actually looking pretty good up over here. There are issues like this where we have an inside corner, and this is realistically what we're going to be doing with our diagonals. There's also this, and maybe we tackle that. You know what? Let's think about this real quick. I just need to get into a bit of a thinking mindset here and think, why did this tile right here not output as straight? And there is a reason for this. Okay, this is equal, this is greater than, this is equal, and this is less than. This is a case that we don't have covered. But before we can really do this, I think I said this last episode even, but before we can really think about this case, we need to have diagonals in place. We really, really do. So what do I mean by diagonals? Well, we're just going to go ahead and take something over here, and actually I don't have screencast keys on. Let me turn screencast keys on, and if I can remember how I did this, I have already forgotten. I'm so good at this. I guess we'll go into our screencast keys and turn it off and on again. No, it was something really dumb and really simple. And I can't remember what it was for the life of me. Yeah, I cannot remember. Okay, we'll go without the screencast keys. I'm not doing anything different in terms of techniques, so it'll be fine. So we'll just duplicate with Shift D here. Oh, there it is. Screencast keys is just hidden behind this. I'll duplicate with Shift D here. Actually, it's only... It was there. And now it's gone. You know what? Okay. And now it's back. Wonderful. Okay, so what are we going to do here in terms of making this actually have a diagonal? Well, we're going to go ahead and loop cut with Control R here, 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 and here, here, here. We're essentially just subdividing the entire thing. And then we are going to get rid of these only faces here. Reason being, we need to make this into triangles. So we'll do that right now. And we'll just do something like this. Wonderful. Okay. And now we'll grab everything that is above this line. And we will simply extrude that up 0.8, but I hit numlock, and so I had to turn that back on. Okay, and then we'll grab these faces, we'll add in the gray dark, we'll assign that. Wonderful. I wouldn't necessarily mind. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 faces. This is the same number, actually. So this is actually just fine. So we'll just duplicate that, move that up 4. We'll duplicate it again and move it up 4 again. And once again, I'm doing 3. You don't have to do 3 with the system we've set up. We could have any number between 1 and however many lists hold. So that's perfectly fine. Now, for this, we're going to want to move this on each axis except for the z-axis. And to do that, I'm just going to go into top view here. I'm going to go into top wireframe. Now, we can't really see, unfortunately, the edge that we have selected here. So we'll just have to do something like this. It's slightly awkward, to be sure. Is this too much? This might be too much. Let me look at that in material preview mode. Yeah, I think that's too much. I'm going to move this in kind of like this, and then this one also in kind of like that. That's a better shape. Okay, and yeah, I prefer this way of moving it, so we'll just move it on the x-axis and the y-axis individually. And I want this one to kind of bow outward. That's too much, though. I don't want it to cross this vertice. There we go. Kind of like that, but I want it to be a little rougher. So we'll just move this one in a little bit, and we'll move this one in a little bit as well. I want to move that along the... Oh, we duplicated that accidentally. Did not mean to do that. There, we'll just roughen that up ever so slightly. Wonderful. And now we'll do one more variant here. And we'll just do something kind of like this. I'll have it bow outward. A little sharper here. And then we'll just move it something like this. And then inward. Kind of like that. And then this one can just come in kind of like so. This is a little too sharp, I think. And this is a little too flat. Definitely feels too sharp to me. Okay, that'll do. Wonderful. Okay, so that gets us our diagonal tiles there. Let's make sure that they're all facing the right way. They should be. Yes, they are. Wonderful. Okay, we'll save that. Then we'll pop this basic tile set in here. And we will delete everything except for those diagonal tiles. They are not necessary. We'll need to unpack this prefab. Wonderful. Delete all of these things. Not the light. Why would I want to delete the light? Okay, let's just grab these. Like so. Excellent. And now we will go ahead and add in our components. So this is a mesh collider and then a tile. And we need to set this to tile type, cliff. And we will also add in our input object. Wonderful. And then we'll go into our cliffs and create a folder. Diagonal. Excellent. And then we will do tile, cliff, diagonal, 01. And we can get rid of that. And then we'll do tile, cliff, diagonal, 02. We'll get rid of that one. And finally, we'll do tile, cliff, diagonal, there we go, 03. And we'll get rid of that one, as well as our basic tile set object. Wonderful. We'll hop into Visual Studio here. And we don't need the server running anymore. So we'll hop into Visual Studio here and we'll go to Tile Set. And we'll need to add in a public list tile, and this will be cliff diagonal tiles equals new list tile. Wonderful. We'll also add one down here. Public list tile, and this would be shore diagonal tiles equals new list of type tile. Fantastic. We'll also go into our tile enum here, and in our terrain shape, we will add in diagonal. Excellent. And I am wondering where exactly we're setting our terrain shape in the tile. I don't remember. I've completely forgotten. Let's check under get tile, tile rotation. Yeah. We set all of this in here, so our direction equals this. And then we return our tiles down here. I guess we don't need it. We just have it in direction. Okay, that's fine. So for our straight shape, we need to say something along the lines of if the two axes, or rather if one from two axes are the same as our height, and one and an opposite one is greater than or equal to our height, and the other is less than our height, this is diagonal. Okay, we'll set that up in just a moment. Let's hop back over to Unity here because we need to go into our basic tile set here. And we need to put those cliffs into the cliff diagonal tiles list. And of course, we haven't made our shore tiles yet. And we also did not set up our materials. Let's go ahead and do that. So this is green and gray. That's fine. So we'll do green dark, and gray dark. So that would be cliff. Wonderful. And let's head into here because we need to do it twice more. So green dark and cliff. And then finally this one, which would be green dark and cliff. Excellent. Okay, so there's those set up. Let's go back into our meshes here. And into our actual mesh. Wonderful. My screencast keys appears to have turned itself off again. I'll just turn it on. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to need to make a diagonal shore tile. And the way I'm going to do that is we're actually just going to duplicate these with Shift D, and I'm going to move them over how many units? 54, 55, 56 units? How did we get lined up like this? Okay, that feels really weird. I'm slightly disoriented. Wonderful. And this is why I didn't want to spend so much time on preparing this. Perhaps now you understand. It's been one of those days, shall we say. So we're just going to move this over 4. Wonderful. We're going to grab all of these and move them down 0.8 in edit mode. Wonderful. And then I want to grab all of these vertices out here. Hang on. I just remembered. We need to move these top vertices appropriately. Because this needs to come in by 0.1, right? Although it doesn't necessarily. I need to think about that. Hang on. Okay, so if we have a straight tile here, This isn't going to work, obviously. Negative 16, and we'll do 3. Rotate that 90 degrees. So obviously, this does not work. This, however, if we move this down 3, rotate that 90 degrees, this does work. It creates a very sharp corner there. And then, if we have something like an inside corner, this would need to be moved negative 24 and 3. And then we would rotate that to be something like... Ah, yeah. Okay. So this would go here, in theory, negative 3. These are not touching. Why is this not touching? What is the actual transform here? Negative 15, negative 3. Oh, these are not even. Negative 12. Negative 12. That makes sense. 44. And then this one would be 44 and 44. That makes more sense. Okay. So we need to think about this, right? Reason being, if we have an outside corner here, and we place this something like negative 20 and 4, actually, it should be 3. Obviously, that's not going to work. If we place it over here, that would work, but we're 1 unit off. So I need to think about that. Let's fire up the server and see if I need to reconsider the shape of these. I think I do. And this is why I usually prepare beforehand. Let's see here. We're going to connect to the server. Eventually. Good old encryption handshake. Whole lot of nothing. There we go. So, let's find ourselves a position where it should be diagonal, like right here, where it's got inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside. So, if we were to take this, and we were to replace this mesh with a diagonal mesh, let's go to, I don't even know what it would be called. And yeah, it's not going to change our mesh collider, obviously. Here we go. This is a diagonal mesh. So a diagonal works fine here, right? And if we were to replace, say, some of these, this would be okay. So this is tile base 032. Tile base 032. Actually, it's dots, isn't it? Tile underscore base dot 032. Okay. So we'll put that one in as well. Oh, this is reversed somehow. That's interesting. Cliff and green dark. It is indeed. That's because this one was a reversed one. So let's go ahead and rotate this like that. Now this one actually should not be that. What we need is one that goes from corner to the regular cliff position. This would be like a shallow corner. Awkward. Very, very awkward. We can do that. How do we detect it is the question. Well, we're going to have to detect the diagonals. There's no doubt about that. Okay. So we're going to have to call this in the tile set. Let's go ahead and make a new terrain shape. And we're going to call this, I think, diagonal to normal. Okay. And now we're going to need to essentially do this again. So we're going to move 4. So we're going to bring this over another 4. And in this case, we want it to be essentially here, here, here. In terms of what is actually extruded up. So extrude that up by 0.8. This vertex, however, should not be like that. So it gets moved like this. And then we'd want to subdivide these two vertices, which would mean that we'd also want to subdivide this face. So we do something like this. Like this. So this is an x of... Actually, we don't care about the x. It's a y of negative 0.5. As is this. Wonderful. Okay, we'll move these vertices back by 0.5, or rather 0.1. And then this vertice can be moved, say, this is square root of 1. Need to fire up the calculator. 1 square root. Of course, the square root of 1 equals 1. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why I even looked at that. We'll just move it along this vertex about like that. Then the question is, do we need to move this in at all? The answer? I don't know. I do want to have these vertices made. Actually, I kind of don't want to have this moved in. -1, -1. This is a transition period. That'll do. Okay, so we're going to just move this something like this. There we go. We'll add in the gray dark color. And we'll just hop into face select mode and assign that like that. Okay. So that is a transition between a normal tile and a diagonal tile. So the diagonal tile, of course, is intended to be something like that. Actually, let me just duplicate this and move it down here a little bit. -10, that'll do. No duplicate of that. Perfect. And this would be -18, -16, 17. Something like that. Yeah. So this is the transition that we're looking for right here. That'll do. That'll do the trick. Okay, we'll make ourselves a couple more variants. Move this up 4, and this up 4 as well. And we will just wiggle these vertices around a little bit. Try moving this in a little bit like this, making it a lot more concave. Kind of like that. Excellent. Then this one maybe becomes a little bit more convex. So we take this out a little ways. This comes out here. And that goes in kind of like that. Okay, that should do the trick. And now we're going to need the shorelines as well. So we'll move this over another 4. We will duplicate that and move this over 64. And then move it down 0.8 in edit mode. Wonderful. Now the question is, how exactly am I going to do this to make this into shore? Well, we can grab these and slide the vertices, something like this. That's doable. That doesn't really do much for this over here. Not really at all. I'm just checking this loop cut. Yeah, that would be viable for that section. This section over here is going to be, shall we say, complicated. It may just have to look like this. Okay. In this particular case, it doesn't look amazingly good. And I'm willing to bet it won't either here. Let's just try leaving it the cliff size, because usually I would just move it out in whatever direction a little bit in order to get it appropriate, but let's just do this for now and grab that up by 0.5. We're going to do the same thing in all of these. So we're just going to put in loop cuts. And we'll grab all of these vertices and move it up by 0.5 so that they're all at 0.2. And that's our shoreline. Or rather, our water line. Okay. So with all of these in that same state, this is of course higher poly over here than this is. There's no doubt about that. That's because we added additional loop cuts over here. So we're going to need 2 more, and this should be tan and water. Excellent. And we will select these here, plus these faces. And that would be set to tan. Oh, we can't multi-edit the material slots. I forgot about that. So we're going to have to do this on all of them. And that one, it's already set up. Okay. Can we set the materials on all of them? Nope. We'll have to manually do that for each of these. Sad. Okay. Tan and water. Tan and water. Excellent. Now we can multi-edit this. We'll assign this to tan. So the question is, how does that look compared to the rest of these? Probably kind of weird, is my guess. Well, we'll just select all of these faces over here. This should be tan. And then over here, we'll select all of these faces. They should also be tan. And over here, this is going to be a little simpler. Tan. Excellent. And then tan faces over here, not you. Wonderful. And a couple more tan faces. Okay. So that should do the trick there. In theory, anyway. And then we're going to take these vertices on the outside, extrude them up 0.8, not 0.5, 0.8. Actually, it's 0.6, negative 0.2. There we go. Excellent. And we're going to do that for all of these. So we'll select these outside vertices, not the corner vertices, though. Wonderful. Did it? Oh, it did select all of the back faces. Not helpful. Okay, we'll get rid of those. Wonderful. And we'll do the same thing over here. Get rid of all of these vertices. We do not need them. And the same thing over here. And this corner vertice as well. None of that is necessary. Okay, 0.6. We'll extrude that up. Does that look correct? Yes, it mostly does. Fantastic. Except in theory for that vertice. But you know what? We actually do need that vertice. Over here. We don't need that vertice over here, but for these we do. And not on this side. Because on this side, we're just going to be putting up a face like that. Okay, we'll select all of these. And we will put together our faces here. Wonderful. We'll just stitch this up. Something along the lines of this. Excellent. There we go. We're probably going to have some face directionality issues. Well, actually, we are pretty much guaranteed to have that. Okay, we'll get those stitched up, and this over here as well. Excellent. And now we select this edge loop and this edge loop, and we just hit F, and then Control-T to triangulate that. F and Control-T. I don't really care about the topology of the water right now. F and Control-T. It's trying to loop cut. Okay, there we go. I was wondering why Control-T wasn't working. Okay. Some of these are getting halfway decent topology, but not exactly wonderful. That one's not terrible. Neither's that one, actually. It's mostly just this one that was dreadful. Oh well. Okay, we'll go into face select mode, and we will select this loop. And everything up top here. And we'll assign water. Excellent. Now I'm guessing it's going to look kind of weird because this is a sharp transition here. As opposed to these, which use a kind of smooth transition, and we're going to have to adjust that. So let's do that right now. Let's bring this down in a duplicated fashion, and same with this one, and we'll bring them together, and we will go ahead and turn this so that they are about even. This will be 45 degrees, but I just want to be measuring something here. This should be a Y of... Yeah, that's not helpful. Okay. We're going to have to do it with this guy. And we'll bring that into negative 24, or negative 26, 25. Okay. We'll rotate that around to go this direction, so that's 180 degrees. And yeah, you can see there is definitely some weirdness here. Well, for one thing, this is the wrong way. We're going from water to land, but you can see that there's going to be some weirdness. Okay. So we may actually need another variant of these that is essentially the opposite direction. which we will do that. That'll be actually pretty easy to do, realistically. But not, I think, this episode. We're pretty much getting close to wrapping this up. I think I'm just going to finish these meshes and call it a day because, like I said, I could use a bit of a break. So we'll assign that there. Excellent. And then we will assign this as well. And yeah, we're definitely going to need essentially a diagonal to normal and a normal to diagonal is what we're going to need. So we'll just select all of these faces here, and we'll assign that water. Wonderful. This little sliver here and here, those are all fine, and we'll grab all of these. Not you. Okay. Wonderful. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Make sure to grab these little slivers. We'll assign this water. Great. And we will just assign water here as well. Now I guarantee you we've got some face directionality issues. Yes, we do. We're just going to select our water. And we're going to... Actually, we're going to do this multi-edited. We're going to select all of our water. And we're going to flip normals. There we go. And let's just check underneath, make sure all looks good, and indeed it does. So that's our normal directionality, correct. So as I said, we have normal to diagonal right now. We're going to need the opposite. So let's essentially take these, and actually let's just move this over 4. And let's duplicate this. There we go. And I think all we should need to do here is just invert these heights, realistically. So we would get rid of these faces. Something like this. We would need to get rid of these faces as well. Any of these external faces that realistically should never be seen but are there for fallback purposes. Okay. And what if we just scale Z -1, rotate Z 180? That works, right? Pretty sure that works. Except... not quite. This needs to be up here, realistically. Yeah, that doesn't quite work. Sad. Well, we'll just take this over -4... Actually, we'll take it over 8. There we go. Because essentially what we need is the exact opposite of this. So we'll just take this section here. And... have I confused myself? I think I might have confused myself. For right now, we'll leave it like this. And next episode, I should have some time to do some prep work. So, of course, we're not going to get these put in just yet. We did a very tiny amount of coding, but this was mostly a bit of a day off for me so that I could just take some time to get some distance and just make a few more tiles. But I think we're going to need 2 more tiles, and if we do, I will likely make those off camera, and they'll just be made with the same techniques. So, no big deal there. And next episode, we will put our diagonals into the map. So I apologize for a bit of a probably content-light episode, but sometimes you just gotta take a day off. And when I don't get days off, this is what I get instead. Because I don't get any days off, because I upload 4 videos a day, 365 days a year. So This is what days off look like, I guess. However, you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time, when we are going to make a little bit more progress, I'm sure. See you all then.